That's what we'll do.
Welcome to the Alliance for Charitable Real Estate. I'm your host, Cami Baker. We are on Unity Radio 97.9 FM, and you can watch us live streamed at WUTY979FM.org. And today I get the honor of interviewing our fearless leader, Ernie Floyd. Ernie and I met going on a year ago now. I was introduced to him, had him on a TV show that I host, and he had me on his show, Unity in the Community, and here we are co-hosting shows on the station. Ernie, introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Ernie Floyd, as you mentioned, and I am the executive producer over at Unity Radio, WUTY 97.9 FM. And of course, we're streaming at WUTY979FM.org. And our station is a community-based radio station right here in the city of Worcester, and we're looking to do some big things, and we look forward to allowing those individuals that want a voice in the community. We create that platform for them, and what's nice about Unity Radio, it's a station that offers a variety of programs, and we're very proud about that. And what's interesting, Cami, back in the day when you had programming, it was targeted to one audience. Okay, so if you had a certain music genre, that was it, that one genre. If you had to talk format, it was that one format. Here at Unity Radio, we offer a variety of different programming, and I think that's what makes it rich and unique and allows us to reach a lot of different people here in the city of Worcester.
So true, so true. So talk a little bit about that. Like, where did this concept come up for you, and how long has Unity Radio been around?
Well, Unity Radio has evolved over the years because we originally started out producing a youth talk show called Youth Unity, actually. And with that youth program, we had teenagers between the ages of 14 to 17, and we had them right here in central Massachusetts. And we had a number of different variety of formats at that time in programming. And our goal at that time was to allow our young people to have a voice in the community. And so we put a camera in front of them and put a microphone in front of them. And we went out and traveled along central Mass. And we also ventured into Boston. And we went as far as Atlanta, Georgia, actually, to tell their story. And that's how the whole thing started. Basically, it was to introduce multimedia to young people here in the city of Worcester. And it began back in 1994. Actually, we incorporated, our parent company is called Pride Productions. And we weren't really welcomed in the very beginning. I think a lot of people were in fear at that time. And Worcester also was about to introduce gangs, which they weren't really prepared for, and also didn't want to acknowledge. But what we wanted to do was allow our young people to have a voice. At that time, people were combating against our young people and not giving them an opportunity. But in our case, what we wanted to do was provide that opportunity, was to give them a voice on the microphone and be in front of the camera. And not only were they hosts of their show, but they were also producers and directors. And we went into the studio, and we also did a lot of on-location shoots at that time. We did a lot of different things. We were very we were ahead of our time. And so now with the evolution of technology again, we're back at it. We are now introducing radio, and we're kind of doing the same thing again.
Well, I love that when I go into the studio, our producer, Manny, has always got some new interns or interns that stay around for a semester, what have you. And those kids bring a whole different energy and vision to the station. I would love to hear some of the interviews and the things that you did 20 years ago. I'll bet there's some really interesting conversations. And I wonder where some of those kids are today. That might be kind of fun, to kind of where they are now kind of a thing.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do that. And some of our young people are doing extremely well. One of our young people had an opportunity to go off and enter into the world of engineering. And on their resume, they had Justin Timberlake, they had Prince, they had a chance to meet Prince. And they had a number of different artists they met too as well. Stanley Clarke, who was jazz, George Duke as well, very renowned jazz artist. And they invited me actually to New York, because George Duke was a very famous jazz artist, and I had a chance to meet him. A very nice individual. And it's just interesting how I took this young person who was here in Worcester, and they grew up and they moved on, taking this tool, because the stuff that we teach here is transferable. You can take it anywhere and apply it to your life. And we were very fortunate that they were able to expand on that. Matter of fact, I believe that person now is managing a major studio out in the Midwest as well. And other stories, we met Chris Matthews from Hardball. We met Danny Glover down at the DCU Center. We just met a number of different people, even in rap, Run DMC, We met, the list goes on and on. And so it was nice to have this opportunity for young people. And they got to the point where they got so comfortable that they're saying, can we meet this person? Can we meet that person? I said, sure, this is how you do it. We reached out to the artists, and we reached out to the management. And before you know it, we're right there meeting them right there on stage or behind the scenes and interviewing them. I remember one time we were working on a project, and one of the students came up to me and said, hey, I want to meet Common. And I said, how are you going to meet them? I said, well, they're coming into town. And I said, well, okay, this is what you do. You do the research, prepare the questions. They were skilled by this time. Prepare the questions. We'll reach out to the contact. Before you know it, within a day or so, we're meeting Common. He gave us an hour interview, actually, and took the time to meet our young people. It was a great experience, and I'm very happy about the fact that not only get the chance to meet the artists, but I like to see how our students evolve. We met the Globetrotters at the bench at the DCU Center one time, and one of the things I get excited about is we asked a Globetrotter on the bench a question, and the Globetrotter was stumped a little bit. It was taken back and said, that's funny. No one's asked me this question, and you should have seen me. Well, you couldn't see me, but I'm just saying inside, I was just so excited inside, and I couldn't share my expression because I didn't want to go too crazy on the bench there. But think about it. This Globetrotter member was traveling all around the world, probably been interviewed by a number of different people. And here it is, my young person asked a question, and this person couldn't even answer it by saying, or had to stop and think about it and said, yeah, this is what I would do in reference to addressing that question. And I thought that's one of some of the successful moments.
I love that. I love when we ask a question that stumps people. And I have to tell you, Run DMC was my very, very, very first concert ever back when I was 13, 14. I remember all the bright neon colors and having the big fresh on my sweatshirt and all of that. Right. And, you know, when you talk about asking a question that stumps people, you know, even in my book, Mean Goal to Millions, I talk about, you know, instead of asking people, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do?
Yes, exactly. Typical.
If you ask them a question that kind of snaps them back into reality for a minute, because they're so used to, like this Globetrotter, here's the typical questions I'm going to get asked again. And we just get in automation mode. But now this kid asks a question that snaps him back into reality. Like if you're, you know, out at networking events, you say something more like, hey, tell me something about you that has nothing to do with your work or where you're from. It makes people really stand up and start asking or see you in a little bit different light. So, Ernie, tell me something about you that people don't know that has nothing to do with your work or where you're from.
About me, I would say that I think that one of the things I did earlier in my career, which I still continue to do, is I love music, and I like to play music. And in the past, I used to be a DJ, and very well renowned DJ in the area. And in addition, I play an instrument. I play the drums. I'm a percussionist as well, and I play the congas. And I also performed when I was younger. And I think one of the projects that I performed in when I was younger was called a project called Black Nativity, and it was in Boston. And I grew up with the performing arts. And I hope, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, this year, after 40 plus years of that performing arts program in Boston, it may come to Worcester. And if it comes to Worcester, and that was my childhood experience. I performed in that in about, I would say between when I was 14 to about 18. And now that performance is coming to Worcester and may be held at Mechanics Hall. And so I reached out to them, and who knows, you never know, I might play a part in that fast forward another 30 years later.
That would be very cool. And speaking of playing a part, we got a couple of minutes left here on the show. Talk about what part Unity Radio is now playing in the youth of Worcester.
Well, it's playing a major role. And one of the roles that it's playing is called the Alliance Media Group. In the Alliance Media Group, once again, it allows our young people to be expressive, allows our young people to be creative. And what we've done is we open up our studio for our young people to come in and learn digital video, and also be creative. They assist us in producing our radio programs, and they also have the opportunity to meet and greet our guests. And they also have the opportunity to come up with a social media platform to promote and market our programming. And I find that to be very critical in reference to allowing our young people to come in. And one of the ways to find out what's going on in today's experience with our young people is obviously to bring the young people in. I don't want to pretend that I know what they're doing. I don't want to think for them. So what better way is to bring them in and allow them to be themselves. And I like to see them perform in some of their areas where they like to be creative. So we have a sports show that comes on, or we have a human interest show, or we have a health and wellness show, and the list goes on. And some of them like one particular over to the other, but it allows them to be creative. And so by allowing that to happen, we're very excited that our young people get to come in, and we get to experience them from a variety of different schools here in the Worcester City area. And with that, a lot of them have the aspirations to move on. And I believe that a lot of them are going to be very successful with some of the skills that we're able to offer them at Unity Radio.
Well, actually, now that you mentioned that, I would love to have you introduce me to a couple of really go-getter kids that would like to learn about the whole charitable gifting of real estate, because so many of our people want to help nonprofits. They want to benefit the veterans and the kids and the animals and the environment, et cetera, et cetera. And they are hung up in the old paradigm of begging and bake sales and, just running a charity event to try to raise money, when I can actually help these kids to see, wow, when real estate is donated to the nonprofit, I can help the nonprofit raise tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars. And if they are actually a real estate agent when they do it, they get paid full commission for doing so. In other words, they can make money while they're making a difference. So that might be kind of a fun conversation to have with some kids on the show. So you have been listening to Alliance for Charitable Real Estate here on Unity Radio with our leader, Ernie Floyd. You can watch us live on Facebook, on our Facebook page, Unity Radio, and live streamed on WUTY979fm.org. Thank you, Ernie, for being on, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you. You too as well.